Hello, this is Governor Steve Sisolak. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person with you today for the Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit, but I'm glad to be able to join you with this brief video message. No teen or child should be worried about having a roof over their head or wonder where their next meal is going to come from. Our youth should be able to get to focus on school, their family, and their friends, and their futures. Unstable housing impacts all aspects of our lives and our physical and mental health, especially in developmental years. Thank you to the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth for your work, day in and day out, to support our kids. You know better than anyone, it's a team effort as we work towards sustainable solutions to this issue. Nevada is a proud partner in this work. I'm committed to ensuring that the work we've done already isn't the end. We're going to keep pushing to keep families in their homes and build a brighter future for our youth. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Randy Hyzak, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of Las Vegas Sands, and more importantly today, a board member of Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth. On behalf of Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, Sands, and our supporting partners, the UNLV, Greenspun, College of Urban Affairs, and the Las Vegas Review-Journal, welcome to the 6th annual Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit. The fact we're doing this 6 years is pretty awesome, and looking forward to the next 6 years and the progress we can make. We have a very exciting day planned, capped by a new highlight of the summit and the movement to end youth homelessness this afternoon. Let me give you a quick overview of how today will unfold. There's also a schedule of events in your packet. In our morning session, we'll have 3 presentations to set the stage for the work that needs to be done. Dean Robert Ulmer from the UNLV Greenspun College of Urban Affairs will outline the changing regional dynamics that are impacting our youth. Arash Ghafoori, our CEO of NPHY and one of my personal heroes, will present an update on the progress made and the work before all of us in the movement to end youth homelessness. The team from Technical Assistance Collaborative will then coalesce these discussions as they present the raw facts gleaned from the updated Youth Homelessness Needs Assessment. After a short break, it'll be time to roll up our sleeves and start the real work. We'll have breakout sessions covering housing, innovations in homelessness services, mental health, and public policy. You'll have an opportunity to attend one of the 2 breakouts during each breakout session. Refer to your schedule of events to select the breakout you'd like to attend during each period. We'll then come back together for lunch and have an inspiring panel discussion featuring our young leaders. These are folks that have lived experience of homelessness. This will be moderated by our partners at National Network for Youth, followed by the Movement Institute, advocacy training this afternoon. A reminder that you must be registered for the Movement Institute to attend the training, and even if you are not registered for the afternoon training session, you'll have another chance to participate. Arash will provide additional plans for the ongoing advocacy trainings throughout the Movement Institute. As you can see, we have much planned, but more importantly, we have a lot more to do. We come to today's summit with a continuing and increasingly serious youth homelessness crisis in our region. This is despite all of the hard work all of you and the community is doing. Like in all areas of our lives, the events of the past 2+ years continue to set us back in this area and also redefine the road that we're all working on. Our young people are more vulnerable. They're coping with a much more challenging employment environment. There are fewer options for affordable housing. There's exacerbated mental health issues and a variety of other challenges that put them at an even greater risk for homelessness than before the pandemic. And let's be clear, it was bad then. As a result, the safety nets that we deployed before need updating. We must develop new, innovative solutions. The way we had previously approached problems requires a creative recharge to be effective. That's our focus today, to power the movement to end youth homelessness with new solutions and a continued refresh of our approach to how we collectively achieve the outcomes defined in the Southern Nevada Plan to End Youth Homelessness. I've been on the board of NPHY for 4 years now, and I regularly get to see the progress that's being made. But more importantly, I see the increasing challenges that remain before us. Being on the NPHY board, I'm able to interact with their clients from time to time. In talking with the youth, I'm always struck most by their tenacity and their ability to persevere through the most difficult of circumstances. They each come from different backgrounds, different situations. But the common thread that they all have is that they've all had experiences that no youth should ever have to face. What continues to amaze me most is their desire to be involved in doing their part and working to resolve the issues and hurdles they've experienced. Myself personally, in terms of if I had gone through what some of they went through, I would be off and trying to just live the rest of my life. But what amazes me, these youth, they are all in terms of trying to figure out how we fix the problem. With their examples as our inspiration, I want to thank all of you for committing to impact the lives of our community's young people with your presence at this summit. More importantly, I look forward to a continued commitment from each and every one of you over the next year. I also want to thank NPHY for their team's tireless leadership in being a catalyst for bringing the community together. Arash, NPHY's accomplishments in shepherding our community to lasting solutions are an amazing complement to what y'all do on a daily basis to impact each and every youth that y'all deal with. It's also inspiring and gratifying to see the leaders of Southern Nevada coming together to shape the movement. Every one of you has made both a personal and collective impact on the movement to end youth hopelessness, and we're thankful for your contributions. Finally, I want to recognize and thank all the presenters on the agenda for today. The valuable insights and informations that you've worked hard to put together are the fuel to lead all of us forward, and we're anxious to hear your messages. Especially big thanks goes to the young leaders. Again, they've helped shape the content and insights for this summit, as well as to the group who will be speaking on the panel at lunch. They are the voice of how we continue to power the movement, and we thank each one of them for sharing their stories, and more importantly, their ideas, because again, they've dealt with it. We just need to help them to solve it. So let's get started. Please welcome Dr. Robert Ulmer, Dean of the UNLV Greenspun College of Urban Affairs, to set the stage for today's summit. Dr. Ulmer?
Thank you, Randy. Great to see everybody here. What a great venue. How about a round of applause for this beautiful venue? It was great to see many of you at UNLV last year and so many friends and partners to reconnect. I mean, I think today is also a lot about reconnecting with one another, finding ways that we can work together. As Randy was saying, this is a huge challenge, obviously, for Las Vegas, for Nevada, for the country, and we need solutions. We need partnerships. We need people working together. I can't think of a better or more important challenge to address. I think, from a UNLV perspective, when we look at young people coming to college, they're so excited about their future. They're so excited about what their opportunities are going to be. We were talking earlier at a couple different tables. My wife and I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old daughter, two daughters that are so excited about life. Yesterday, Allie, my oldest daughter, was taking her food handling certificate, and was so excited about that, but then saw so many other people at that certification process that either didn't pass or were dealing with some of the results of not passing that certification and the results of that. She's thinking about what her opportunities are, and she's trying to now figure out, wow, life's not fair, right? We heard that a lot in our family a lot. That's not fair. This isn't fair. But now she's starting to see life's not fair. She didn't do anything to really deserve, right, the opportunities that she has ahead of her. Works hard, certainly. She'd tell you that, right? But the optimism that she has, not everybody in our community has that kind of optimism. And we get to college, similar types of things. We know that as we get through breaks, and our dorms close, right, some of our students become homeless, right? We know that people come into this world with real significant challenges that some of us don't have to consider or don't have to deal with, okay? So grateful to have everybody here. I think we know that individually none of us are going to be able to resolve this issue. We know how important it is. We know how exciting it is as a young person to think about what your life could be like, what opportunities you could have, the kinds of world that you could create, the kind of solutions you can develop. And I see this group and the group that Arash has convened and the board members and all of you partners, right, as people willing to help create those opportunities for youth, to create an opportunity for somebody to create the life of their dreams. And I can't imagine a better pursuit. I can't imagine a better challenge to try to address as a group of people. I'm a first-generation college student, and I can tell you, not a lot of significant challenges, but I dealt with some of them, right? And it literally changed my life. It created opportunities, right, to work in an atmosphere, to be connected, to work on challenges, right? And this is the gift that we're trying to give people in Southern Nevada, people in Nevada that really deserve that gift, that opportunity to wake up every morning and not just crave the coffee that we were craving this morning, right? But also to crave that opportunity to make a difference in the world, to help somebody else, to create the world that they want, okay? And so I'm so excited to be a partner with Arash and Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth and SANS and the Review-Journal and the Las Vegas Sun and all of you. I know that there's ways we can work together. I can tell you in the College of Urban Affairs, we're recruiting the best and brightest faculty from around the world to our college to work on youth and youth homelessness and youth challenges. We know that has to do with real estate and affordable housing, but we also know it has to do with developing and maintaining relationships and doing that effectively, right? And it has to do with workforce development, and it has to do with creating opportunities and roles for people in ways they can make a difference in the world, providing education, providing opportunity, and providing inclusion and engagement for people. So I can tell you in our college we have criminal justice, social work, public policy and leadership, communication and journalism. And each of those different areas, we know many of the youth are touched by the criminal justice system, and we know what those kind of opportunities and challenges, right, can create for people when they're impacted by the justice system. We know the trauma that youth have been through and how to address some of those issues from communication. How do we develop and maintain relationships in an effective way? How do we change the policies? And Arash and our group have been working on policy change, right, in the state and locally, right? And then from a journalism and perspective, when you think of the Review-Journal and Las Vegas Sun, right, how do we get more people engaged? How do we tell them how to be a part of this? And how do we create solutions together so that people are aware? I know some of our in our community aren't aware that we have some of the challenges that we have. So I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to partner with all of you. I really, I'm such an optimist when it comes to overcoming huge challenges. And I'm an optimist that we will find solutions. I know that we're doing incredible things right now to help serve youth and to help protect youth and to help make a difference in their lives. But I really believe in Arash, I believe in NPHY, I believe in the vision of this group, and I believe that Southern Nevada and I believe the country will address this issue in a meaningful way. But we've got to come together, we've got to continue to work together. As we deal with some of these real challenges moving forward, I think we have to have the grit that we tell our children and others to have to get through those challenges. And so I look forward one day when we don't have this conference anymore. We're celebrating something else because we've dealt with this issue. I truly believe that'll happen. So thank you for the opportunity to connect with you. I look forward to connecting with you over the rest of the day. It's also my honor to to now open the floor and introduce Arash Ghafoori. We heard Randy say hero. What's what's higher than hero? Does somebody have an idea? He's certainly my hero as well. He works tirelessly. We talk tirelessly. I know he talks with each of you tirelessly, any time of the day, any time of the week. And we've got big plans. And I know he's got big plans with each of you in this room. So I'm truly excited and inspired by Arash and his work and NPHY's work, his incredible team. Please, a warm welcome for Arash Ghafoori.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, for those of you that are standing on the sides there, if you guys want to sit down, please go ahead and trickle in. It's not going to bother me at all, but please sit down and get comfortable. So thank you to Dean Ulmer for your insights and invaluable perspective. You've given us so much to think about and integrate with our work today and moving forward. We're grateful for our partnership, actually, with the Greenspun College of Urban Affairs. Your college has been a supporting sponsor of the summit since the inception. You've worked with us on research briefs and presentations to bring more understanding and awareness to the issue of youth homelessness, and have been an integral part of creating the process behind the movement's Southern Nevada plan to end youth homelessness and our youth homelessness needs assessment, which we completed this year, and you'll hear more about in a little bit. So let's see if this works. It does. All right. So welcome to the 2022 Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit, where we are powering the movement. Please give yourself, can you guys hear me okay? Cool. First of all, so I can hear you, please give yourselves a round of applause for joining the largest gathering of youth homelessness in this entire state. In 2020, we had an all-virtual event, and in 2021, we did a hybrid event. So we are super excited to be getting back to an entirely in-person conference this year and in this beautiful new venue. It's hard to believe that this is our 6th annual Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit. When we launched the summit and the movement in 2017, Southern Nevada had one of the highest rates of youth homelessness in the country. Since then, our world has changed in so many ways. Yet what hasn't changed is that youth homelessness is still an urgent crisis in our community, and that is why we are all here powering the movement. And this crisis has only become more complex in the last few years as young people are facing increasingly layered and intensified challenges. Challenges such as a rapidly changing employment landscape, increasing scarcity of affordable housing, heightened mental health needs, and breakdowns in support networks as a result of the pandemic and our changing world. While these changes impact us all, they disproportionately and more severely affect our community's most vulnerable young people experiencing homelessness. These circumstances will likely increase youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. In fact, experts predict that Las Vegas is likely to have one of the highest increases in homelessness over the next few years due to our extreme scarcity of affordable housing, high cost of housing, and employment rates and low average wages. That will be the case unless we rise up as a community together to change this trajectory. While this is our 6th annual summit, we must not lose our sense of urgency. Now is the time to step up and recommit to addressing and solving the issue of youth homelessness in our community by creating and driving local solutions with our community's resources. As our work shifts and evolves in response to our new realities, we need the entire community working together to make transformational change. Only by stepping in right now can we prevent harsher realities from occurring and create a better future with and for our community's young people in need. This is our chance before we reach a tipping point that will become much harder to pull back from. And that is why this year, we're calling on the entire community to step up and become advocates and activists in the fight to address and end youth homelessness in our community, to be the power of the movement to end youth homelessness. So in 2017, we launched the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada to bring our community together across sectors to tackle youth homelessness from all angles. We did this because as direct service provider because as a direct service provider delivering a wide range of high-quality services for young people experiencing homelessness every day, we saw that while direct services are so incredibly vital, working with individual youth alone cannot solve this issue. Youth homelessness must be addressed both on the ground and through systems-level coordination, change, and advocacy. Since then, through the movement, we've led community efforts to create the first ever Southern Nevada plan to end youth homelessness, gotten 2 Nevada state laws passed to break down barriers for young people experiencing homelessness, to access vital identification documents, and strengthen unaccompanied minors' access to health care. We've implemented new, innovative housing models and have grown housing resources. We've strengthened collaboration across systems and sectors, expanded youth-dedicated outreach efforts, and so much more. And in the past year, we completed a youth homelessness needs assessment. The plan was created in 2018, and it included a look at the scope and characteristics of youth homelessness in our community, based largely on data from 2017. Now, 5 years have passed since the data featured in the plan was collected, and especially since then, so much has changed in our world and our community. So we knew it was time to take a data-driven look at how youth homelessness has changed in Southern Nevada. Accordingly, this year, the movement worked with the Southern Nevada Homelessness Continuum of Care to hire a technical consultant and lead a multi-month process to develop an updated youth homelessness needs assessment. Our consultant, the Technical Assistance Collaborative, aka TAC, worked with the movement's Continuous Quality Improvement Group, consisting of cross-sector stakeholders as established in the plan, to collect and analyze the data for the needs assessment. This process is imperative, as only by better understanding who is currently experiencing youth homelessness in our community and why can we develop better solutions that respond to our current circumstances. And we're very excited to have this important work recently completed. TAC will be on the stage shortly, presenting and sharing with us what they uncovered about the changing landscape of youth homelessness in our community. We also continued the work of championing the most recent law we passed, AB 197, by holding implementation workshops. In 2021, we championed advocacy efforts to pass a Nevada state law to strengthen unaccompanied minors' access to critical healthcare services. During 2022, the movement worked to educate healthcare providers, homeless service providers, and schools on the implementation of this law, including hosting a statewide webinar with the National Advocacy Organization, a healthcare provider, a legal partner and expert, the assembly member who sponsored the bill, and young people with lived experience to help providers utilize the law to serve young people in need. We also created a landing page available at mphy.org/themovement/AB197 with lots of resources on how to utilize this law, including letter templates for homeless service providers and school personnel, a flowchart for healthcare providers, scenarios on how to work with young people to access healthcare through this law, and more. Please visit the website for more information. So let's talk about the future of the movement and the summit. Another focus of the movement's work this past year is that we've also been thinking really hard about the future of the movement, what we've accomplished so far, where we currently are, and where we need to go to make an impact needed truly to change the trajectory of youth homelessness in our community. That's why we're very proud today to launch the Movement Institute, a series of innovative, inspiring, and hands-on advocacy trainings and actions to empower community members to really be the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. The Movement Institute is designed to educate community members, both those already involved in the movement and newcomers who want to champion positive change for vulnerable youth, and provide an ongoing advocacy forum for grassroots action. The movement has worked hard to advocate with and bring together community stakeholders in the youth homelessness sector in intersecting fields. However, to achieve sustainable social change, we know we need additional grassroots support and people power. Accordingly, with the Movement Institute, we are seeking to inspire and bring together even more of the Southern Nevada community to become activists in the fight to end youth homelessness through accessible, hands-on training and action. Not only do we need to create more advocates, but we also need to convene and educate more often and create more ways for broader swaths of our community to get together to fight youth homelessness beyond the annual summit. That's why, beginning in 2023, we will hold movement institutes each quarter, with each quarterly training focusing on a critical intersectional topic area, such as policy, education, human trafficking, and more, to bring new community members into the Institute while providing professional development, empowerment, and action opportunities for existing members of the movement. Throughout each year, we will also call on the Movement Institute trainees to participate in a myriad of advocacy activities designed to address and end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada and across the nation via a virtual action center and more. You will all have the opportunity to take action today by attending this afternoon, visiting the Action Center in the lobby, and by signing up for the first quarter Movement Institute this afternoon, which will be held on March 29th at the fabulous East Las Vegas Library. In addition, in examining the movement's work and reach, we've realized that focusing our work in Southern Nevada is no longer enough. We need to go statewide to create real, lasting change. This is because the scope of the youth homelessness crisis is statewide, and we need statewide involvement to solve it. Our state-level policy work, such as passing Nevada state laws, affects and requires collaboration across the state. Our policy work will be more responsive to identified needs, more likely to pass, and more successfully implemented if we align across the state. There are great organizations working elsewhere in the state and in our community, and we need to join forces to bring more ideas and solutions to the table. Not only is youth homelessness bigger than any one sector, it is bigger than any one region in our state. These are the reasons why we need to go statewide to continue powering the movement to end youth homelessness in the entire state of Nevada. As part of this growth, we're also excited to bring together new partners statewide to discuss the necessary steps to create the movement's statewide Nevada plan to end youth homelessness. So long story short, I am very happy to announce that this means we'll also be taking the summit statewide next year and every year moving forward. So it's a big deal. We're excited. And in the early part of the new year, we'll be convening a committee of community leaders to start planning the statewide summit. You can go to the Action Center today in the upstairs lobby and use the QR code to express interest in joining the summit going statewide planning committee. I'm almost done, don't worry, guys. So, now for the thank yous. So, I want to thank everyone who's in this room today, whether it's your first time or your sixth time joining us. You truly are the movement. I'd like to thank our sponsors, as always, for making all of this possible. Las Vegas Sands, our co-presenter and founding partner. They've been with us since the beginning, and all this would not be possible without them. Thank you to Las Vegas Sands for being our partner in putting together the annual summit and in driving the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada forward. You truly are a partner in every sense of the word. Thank you also to Randy, their CFO, and NPHY's treasurer, for his opening remarks. I truly appreciate your investment in our mission and your work and contributions as an NPHY board member. Thank you to UNLV Greenspun College of Urban Affairs, supporting sponsor. Thank you again for all you do, and Rob, for your leadership, vision, and always knocking it out of the park when you're on stage. Las Vegas Review General, another supporting sponsor who spreads the word throughout the community about this critical issue and about the movement's efforts. Thank you to all of today's sponsors, Randy Hyzak, Dean Ulmer, Ellen Fitzpatrick, and Teo Ortega from TAC, the presenters of the Movement Institute later this afternoon, Tavon Jenkins, Assemblymember Howard Watts, Melissa Jacobowitz, Lynette Rivera. Thank you to our breakout session leaders who will be sharing invaluable insights with us today. Michelle Fullerhauer from Clark County Social Service, Dr. Nick Barr from the UNLV School of Social Work, Christine Hess from the Nevada Housing Coalition and her entire panel. Attar Hazibullah from the ACLU Nevada could not join us today, yet we're very happy to have Lilith Baran, ACLU of Nevada's Policy Director, joining us today. And most of all, thank you to our incredible young leaders who will be sharing their stories and perspectives during today's lunch panel. Thank you, Teari, Ashley, Naraya, for all the prep work you put into today and for being so brave to stand on stage and share with us and lead with us today. And to the National Network for Youth, Andrew and Yori, thank you for being here and for all your efforts working with our young leaders for weeks to get ready for today and flying in to join us to moderate the panel. And thank you to our elected officials for submitting wonderful welcome videos, which can be found on the Summit attendee website, which you can get to via the QR code on the back of your one-page program. It's on the front, but front and back. Thanks to Governor Steve Sisolak, to Senator Jackie Rosen, Congresswoman Dina Titus, Congresswoman Susie Lee, Congressman Stephen Horsford, and Clark County Commission Chair Jim Gibson. And thank you to elected officials and representatives and to everyone in this room. I take one moment to thank NPHY staff for their tireless work day in and day out. And I especially want to thank Melissa Jacobowitz and Lynette Rivera, who worked tirelessly for months, including many long weekends, to bring both the Summit and the Movement Institute to life. Can we give them, our sponsors, presenters, young leaders, and community supporters a big round of applause? So next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Ellen Fitzpatrick and Theo Ortega from the Technical Assistance Collaborative. I'm going to call them TAC from now on. TAC is a national consulting firm and a technical assistance provider who work with our community on the original creation of the Southern Nevada Plan to End Youth Homelessness in 2018. And we're lucky to be able to work with them again this year on the Youth Homelessness Needs Assessment. TAC's been working with our community since the spring on the Youth Homelessness Needs Assessment, and they'll be sharing with you more about this process in just a few moments. Please welcome Theo Ortega and Ellen Fitzpatrick to start their presentation.
Hi, everyone. Oh. Thank you, Arash, for that warm welcome. We want to thank the Southern Nevada Homelessness Continuum of Care and PHY, all of you here in the room today, for inviting us to share this needs assessment with you at today's summit. We're very excited. So Arash shared some background already, but Theo and I work for an organization called TAC. We worked with you all several years ago on that plan, and we began working with you again this spring to dive into this youth needs assessment. And so we began convening the Continuous Quality Improvement Group. A broad array of stakeholders made up that group, including folks from your child welfare department, juvenile justice, youth providers, the continuum of care. We had a lot of perspective. They helped us develop an understanding of how to collect the data that would best inform our understanding of the landscape of youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. And then they helped us to analyze it. You know, being from outside of your community, there's only so much that we can really glean from the hard numbers. And so it was also important to us to be able to talk to folks. So in addition to collecting and analyzing all of the quantitative data that went into this needs assessment, we also had an opportunity to conduct stakeholder interviews with a number of folks representing different systems and partners in the work to end youth homelessness. We also had an opportunity to talk with young people. We conducted a series of focus groups back in September when we were able to come here and visit with you all. So we heard from the folks who were closest to the issue, those who had lived experience of homelessness here in Southern Nevada. So all of that work culminated in this updated youth needs assessment, which will hopefully lead you all in your continued work to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada, to help you understand some of the pain points and some of the opportunities that you have in continuing to tackle this issue here locally. So we sort of organized our assessment into two parts. The first being trying to understand who are the young people experiencing homelessness here, and the second being what are their needs. And so we're going to begin with trying to understand the who. When we're talking about youth homelessness, some of us may be familiar with some of the definitions of homelessness that are used by federal systems that are somewhat restrictive. If you're familiar with the Department of Housing and Urban Development's definition of homelessness, it's very specific. But for the purpose of this assessment, we looked at a broader definition. And that's the definition that was used in your original plan to end youth homelessness as well. So we didn't just consider those young people who were staying in emergency shelters or living on the streets in unsheltered situations. We also tried to understand the experience of youth who were doubled up or couch surfing, because we know that youth homelessness typically looks different than older adult homelessness. Young people, as folks have mentioned several times already, have tenacity and have an understanding of how to find alternatives to some of those places like shelters or staying outside. And so we really wanted to understand what that looked like here. In addition to that, we also know that youth who are involved in other systems of care, like child welfare and juvenile justice, are at higher risk of experiencing homelessness. So we tried to take a look at those young people who are involved with those systems as well. So when we began trying to understand the landscape of youth homelessness here, we first wanted to understand the number. So trying to quantify youth homelessness is really challenging because, like I mentioned, young people find alternatives to a lot of the places where we might go to count the number of people experiencing homelessness. But one way to try to quantify homelessness is through the annual point-in-time count. This happens every year during the month of January, where folks who are either in shelters and transitional housing programs or staying in unsheltered places are counted on a single night or during a short period of time. So what you'll see here on the screen is that from 2018 to 2022, it looks as though the number of youth counted during that annual point in time has gone down. Back when the plan was established, that number was well over 1,000. You all were identified as the community in the country with the third highest count of youth homelessness. But since then, that has decreased according to the PIT. What we do understand, though, is that the local methodology for counting young people during the point in time has changed here. So we are thinking that the decrease is actually attributed to that methodology change and not necessarily to the fact that there are fewer young people experiencing homelessness here in the community. The point in time is really important because, one, it's required for every continuum of care, but two, it is one way to try to understand that number. The other way to try to understand it is by looking at your Homeless Management Information System data, or HMIS. So what you'll see here on the screen now is the number of enrollments in street outreach, emergency shelter, and transitional housing programs in your community in the calendar year 2021. So while you saw that decrease in the point in time, what you see here is that there has actually been an increase in the number of youth accessing those services over the last 4 years. Again, I will say this doesn't necessarily mean that the problem has grown. It may mean that young people actually have better access to your resources. They know where to go when they need shelter or need to connect with a street outreach provider. We don't know that information, but it's certainly something to dig into and worth exploring more, because as you can see, that increase is pretty significant. In addition to trying to understand the number of young people experiencing homelessness, it's also important to understand some of the demographic characteristics of those young folks. So probably the most stark demographic data that we looked at was around race. You'll see here that Black youth made up more than 50% of the youth homelessness population of that 2021 calendar year count of enrollments in emergency shelter, transitional housing, and street outreach. The number of Black folks statewide in Nevada is, Black folks make up about 12% of the overall population. So this is a really, really significant overrepresentation of Black youth in the homeless youth population. What this tells us is that any solution to youth homelessness here really needs to be led with an equity lens, because these folks are disproportionately impacted by the issue. We also found that the number of minor youth between the ages of 12 and 17 decreased over the period of time that we looked at. Conversely, we heard from providers in the community who said that when looking at their programmatic data, that number had actually gone up. So what we think that probably means is that minors are not going to some of these typical places to access the services and the supports that they need. They're seeking them elsewhere. So when you look at these numbers, when you see the final assessment, we don't want you to think that serving minors under 18 is not an issue, or that the problem is not there, because we believe that it is. We also want to highlight the fact that according to the data, the numbers of trans, gender nonconforming, and non-binary youth, as well as youth who identify as LGBTQ+, may seem small. But what we know is that young folks often aren't comfortable disclosing that information. It might depend on who's asking the questions, whether they're comfortable, whether they're out. And so we imagine that these numbers are likely an undercount for the number of youth who are LGBTQ+ identifying in Southern Nevada and experiencing homelessness. And then finally, we also just want to make note that the number of youth experiencing chronic homelessness will also look very small to you when you look at this assessment. However, it's not insignificant. It's still over 200 young people in the calendar year 2021, which to us indicates that, again, when you're thinking about solutions, you need to be looking at a broad array, because that may include some solutions that have longer rental assistance tied to them, that have more intensive supports to be able to support those young people who may have higher acuity. In addition to looking at HMIS data, we also connected with the Clark County School District to look at the homelessness data that they collect across Clark County. What you can see here is, like I said, with those numbers of minors experiencing homelessness, this supports that, right? There are young people under the age of 18 being identified by the school district every year who are experiencing unaccompanied youth homelessness. So they're not with their families. In some cases, they may have an older adult, a caregiver, as you'll see here, who has agreed to house them, to be their point of contact, but they're not with their parent or guardian. These young folks are more often doubled up, so staying with friends or family, finding places to stay that are alternatives to the shelter system or to outside, but they're there, they're experiencing housing instability, and they have to be considered in any solution to end youth homelessness here in Southern Nevada.
In this next section, I just want to highlight that there's like a lot of wins. Southern Nevada's been doing a lot of work around combating youth homelessness, so I'm framing a little bit of this as wins and opportunities. So systems involved youth, national data shows that youth with systems involvement, namely child welfare or juvenile justice, are at higher risk of experiencing homelessness than their peers. So we found that between 100 and 135 youth aged out of foster care each year from 2018 to 2021, and approximately 7 to 12% of those exited to an unknown destination or were considered runaway. In Clark County, youth aging out of the foster care system have the option to participate in Step Up, a young adult program operated by Clark County Social Services. So impressively, 78% of those youth were discharged to permanent housing destinations. The next bullet, so while the Department of Juvenile Justice does not yet have a standardized method for identifying youth who are experiencing homelessness, we collected information pretty informally here. From 2019 to 2021, there was a decrease of nearly 55% in youth served by the juvenile justice system. While data is not conclusive, one potential factor contributing to this, another win, is Clark County's 5 youth diversion centers, otherwise referred to as the Harbor. So in this next section, youth and safety, we see here an alarming percentage of youth in Clark County reporting violence or abuse as a reason for their lack of stable housing or a contributing factor to their homelessness. When reporting reasons for lack of stable housing during the Southern Nevada Youth Assessment, between 17 to 20% of youth responses reported violence at home between family members as a reason each year from 2018 to 2021. The Embracing Project is a Las Vegas area agency that serves youth survivors of violence, sexual exploitation, and sex trafficking. The Embracing Project served upwards of 300 youth each year who are involved in sex work or commercial sexual exploitation. I just want to highlight too that the last bullet, only youth who are enrolled in Runaway Homeless Youth funded programming are asked about involvement with sexual exploitation or labor trafficking, leading to what is likely a significant undercount. So what are the needs of youth experiencing homelessness in Southern Nevada? Ellen mentioned we had this great opportunity to meet with the youth in Las Vegas and do some focus groups. And some of the things that they pointed out as needs were, come on folks, opportunities for joy, like that's huge. Access to transportation, access to food, access to electricity, and examples like cell phone charging stations, access to clothing and beauty supplies, access to birth control and menstruation products, support with collecting documentation, safe places to store belongings without fear of theft, better wages, more and better access to supportive adults and case management. With youth needs and housing, so most of the youth are not exiting crisis services to housing that includes a rental assistance or supportive services. The majority of youth exiting to an apartment are exiting with no assistance or ending up living with families and friends and family. There's a limited number of housing resources dedicated to youth in your continuum of care. Majority of youth currently on the community Q score in the middle range with a TE Viespadat, meaning they're not as likely to be prioritized to housing resources. Stakeholder interviews and focus groups with both youth and young adult partners indicated that an interest in improving coordinated entry system policies and procedures. So with the stakeholder interviews and meeting with the youth, there was some significant confusion around how your coordinated entry system works. And everyone had like a different interpretation of what the queue was, what the assessment was, how to get access to it. Youth needs in context of health. So from 2018 to 2021, there is a 130% increase in the number of youth who reported a learning disability, developmental disability, or other impairment as the reason they had trouble maintaining housing. We also found that to be alarming as well. So our overall key findings, thousands of youth continue to experience various forms of homelessness and housing instability, and they are still interacting with the homelessness response system each year. Black youth are disproportionately impacted by homelessness in Clark County. The majority of youth are not accessing housing assistance through your coordinated entry or through your COC's housing inventory. Based on the COC coordinated entry assessment approach, most youth are scoring in this range that doesn't qualify them as households with the highest level of need. This often creates a swell of people in the middle range of coordinated entry in the prioritization list. Ultimately, youth do not have access to housing resources because they don't meet the highest level of vulnerability or risk prioritization criteria. Poverty, including generational poverty and a difficult housing market significantly impact the issue of youth homelessness in Clark County. And lastly, youth and the systems that serve them could definitely benefit from an increased coordination, collaboration, and data sharing between many of these systems and partners that youth interact with. And that's all we have. Yes.